some Chicago there and Saturday in the Park. I'm Ralph Williams. It's great to be here on this gorgeous Saturday morning here. Hot as can be here in Pittsburgh, but you know what? It's great to be hot because we're hot here with the External Bum Show every single Saturday morning here. Brought to you by Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. 724-2010-500 is the number to call for Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. I don't know why it's taking so long for everybody to come up here, unfortunately. Here, let me see what we got here. I got to click this right here. There we go. All right. Okay, I got Leo and Scott coming up here in a minute here. And there we go. Let's see. My face will be coming up here in a second here. There we go. All right, and I hope I don't hold on. I'm having – there we go. Now we got Scott. There we go. Now we got Scott Morganroth. All right. Scott Morganroth, Leo Haggerty, it's great to be here. I tried to get a special guest, but was unsuccessful today. But next week, we have Ray Fittipaldo from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette who covers the Steelers. He's going to join us next Saturday here at 9 a.m. on the External Bum Show. We're here every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. All right, guys. Scott, introduce yourself. How are you today? How's everything with you this morning?
Well, we're doing all right, Ralph. I have a little bit of a voice back today. It kind of abandoned me on Thursday. I'd already been with you then. But all in all, we're doing okay. Getting ready to go up to North Carolina next week to promote my book, Lessons from the Microphone. Showed up there, Ralph. I don't have mine readily nearby. But anyways, Ralph Williams always does, or at least in the process. Well, Lessons from the Microphone. Maybe I'll have it by the end of the show. But I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be on. I know we're going to have a loaded show for sure today.
All right, no problem. Scott and Leo Haggerty, how are you this morning? I hear you're in the city of brotherly love. How's everything?
Yeah, I'm in the city of brotherly shove. If you don't watch yourself, I tell you what, I had a great flight on Frontier, flew out at 5 in the morning, got in at 7:30, got a chance to get my bearings, find a nice spot here with a little bit of a electrical outlet so my phone doesn't go dead, and just getting ready to head up to football camp. Now, next week, guys, it could be a little bit interesting. I'm flying Philly to Seattle, but I got a layover in Denver, so I think I'm going to make it. I'm going to check and make sure, but I may come in a little bit late or not be able to stay, but too long. But hey, I'm trying to work it because I want to be on with the two hardest working broadcasters in the United States.
Well, you are likewise too, Leo, and so is Scott. I mean, we all three of us here, we put in a lot of hours in doing our broadcasting and everything else, and I appreciate working with you guys as well. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get started with our bum
maybe with a little luck, Ralph, I'll get my wife to take the wheel for about an hour, and I can get out with you guys and operate off of my phone. How's that sound, depending on how I'm feeling? Thankfully, the show's at 9 o'clock, so there you go. Pull up that book, Ralph.
Okay. Yep.
Pull it up.
Okay. There. All right. We have Scott's book here, and it's the Lessons from the Microphone, and Scott has put this book together, and I got to tell you, it's a really good book. It's a lot of different he tells you a lot of different things in broadcasting, where he's been through and what's going on right now in broadcasting. So Scott did a really good job on this book. So go out and get it, Lessons from the Microphone. That is our sponsor for this segment here, our bum segment. And Scott, go ahead. We'll start off with you.
Well, I can't really call myself a bum on this one because I knew the Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers was going to go 7. But what I can do is find a bum in Edmonton called the fans. Because how do you boo the United States national anthem and then put Sergei Bobrovsky in it, so you're booing a Russian and you're booing the U.S. national anthem? I don't get the logic behind booing the U.S. national anthem with those two particular aspects involved. Boo the U.S. national anthem and boo a Russian goaltender playing for a U.S.-based team. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Today.
All right, Leo, you're bum.
Well, you know what, guys? I can't verify this. And, Scott, you may have to help me on this.
Sure.
But the Florida Panthers, I'm seeing that they kicked up parking to $75, and some of those nosebleed seats are going for like $1,500 for Game 7. Is that true? Because if it is, they're not bums. They're thieves.
Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, Leo, it is true. My reliable source and a longtime colleague in South Florida, Ed Berliner, put it out there. And I'm not surprised at the Panthers. I know how they operate. I really do. So, I don't care if they're local or not. I've always been a Red Wings guy myself, born and raised a Red Wings guy, always will be. Excuse me. I've done a little bit of work with the Panthers, but not to the point where I'll actually consider myself one of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, thieves is the right word to describe the Florida Panthers. $75 for parking, nosebleed. You know what? To me, it just makes you wonder. Yeah, enjoy the nice times you're having right now. But the one thing you don't want to do is come Monday night is put yourself in a category like the 1942 Red Wings where you were up 3-0, right? And then you lost 4 straight games, and the Red Wings unfortunately lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the Panthers are in dangerous territory. And I do want to add something else to what you're talking about too, Leo, if I may, that when the Edmonton Oilers lose 3 straight games, they usually come back with a long winning streak. So right now, Edmonton is playing to who they are. They're on house money. And you know what? If I were the Panthers, I'd be extremely nervous, not only about the parking and the tickets, but making history for all the wrong reasons.
You know what, guys? And here's the worst part of last night. Guess how many shots Connor McDavid had last night? The goose egg.
Wow.
They beat Florida with McDavid just kind of skating around like he's out in the park. So
right. So they shut McDavid down more or less, Leo, and they were still able to win last night because I thought they couldn't win without him. That's,
Oh,
well,
exactly.
Edmonton's a much better team than most people think they are. You know what the problem is here, Ralph and Leo? They're
What's
on
that?
the West Coast. Nobody knows a darn thing about them. Think about it. If you're thinking about that.
And they're north of the border. And I'll tell you what, guys, I thought the Rays were the only one that had selective ticket pricing. When the Yankees and the Red Sox come in here, the daggone ticket price doubles for a game. So, yeah, I really wish they would get away from that. And I'm going to go back to when the Lightning won their first Stanley Cup.
Okay.
They had upper level obstructed seats for college students. You know what they cost? $2.
Wow.
Now, I know that was 2002, but still.
Right.
Don't just put the screws to your fans. And that's what you're basically doing.
Yeah, exactly. You never want
to
do that.
Leo, I might have a little more passion for the Rays raising the ticket prices for the Yankees. And I'll tell you why. Because, New Yorkers will pay for them anyways, transplanted. And the Rays need every nickel that they can to more or less break even. So while I don't condone it, you know what I mean? I might have a little bit more of an understanding that the Rays, to me, operate much differently than most other teams. But I agree. Don't be thieves to your fans. But you know what, Leo and Ralph? This is the second year they've done it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a bad thing, and I wanted to talk about that later on in the show here about ticket prices. Do you know that there are some fans out here suing the NFL because they're frustrated about their ticket gouging, and so we'll talk about that later on. But my bum for today is Isaiah Buggs. He's done it again. This time he got arrested for domestic violence. Isaiah Buggs is nothing but a bum. He was a bum here with the Steelers, did nothing in Detroit, and didn't do anything in Kansas City. And now he has nothing else to do with his time, so now he's involved in domestic violence. And I think that's shameful, and shame on him. And I think he's my bum for today. So
there's only one word for Isaiah Buggs. Okay, when it's all said and done, you know what that is, Ralph and Leo? Done.
Yes, exactly.
Stick a fork in him. Stick a fork in him. Done.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruined his NFL career by doing stupid stuff. That dog abuse incident, and now he's involved in domestic violence, and he was arrested for both. So now his career's over unless he goes into the UFL or something. I don't know what's going to happen.
UFL wouldn't even take him with that kind of baggage. Do you think that Dwayne Rock Johnson and his partner Danny, I don't know what her last name is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Yeah.
But regardless, his ex-wife Danny was working with him, would even bother to take on a guy like. They want guys that can make it to the NFL, not their NFL problem child. There's no way he'd go there. Maybe he'd get exiled in Canada, and then we'll see what team he lands so they can boo something else.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, guys, let's get started with the show here. NBA, Boston Celtics win the championship. Your thoughts on this? We'll start with you, Scott.
I'm happy. 18-17 Celtics over the Lakers. And the Lakers deserve an asterisk for the one that they got in the bubble. But, a championship is a championship. Joe Mazzulla's heck of a coach, second youngest ever to win a title at 35. And the one that was younger, by the way, was Bill Russell, Celtics. You get the drill. But the Celtics were dominant all year anyway. So if there's ever a time when the best team in the league won it, this was it. Kudos to the Boston Celtics, everything that they stand for. The owner's already going on record that he said, I'm going to keep everybody. So there could be a repeat along the way. I'm happy for Boston, the Celtics, I really am. And you know what? If they can go after and repeat, more power to them. Jaylen Brown, was it Jaylen Brown and James Tatum? Is that who we're looking at?
Yes.
Latest dynamic duel. As well as y'all. I was happy for Kristaps Porzingis. A lot of guys who won it for the first time. But the one guy I want to make mention that there's a lot of credit for putting it all together is Brad Stevens. He didn't want to coach.
Yes.
Going upstairs, I'm putting it together. Let somebody else do it. And you know what? Ime Udoka could have won it too. But unfortunately, those problems occurred. But when you talk about a seamless transition to Joe Mazzulla, hey, I'm happy for the Boston Celtics, but more importantly, I'm glad it's 18-17, and I don't see the Lakers getting any closer. In fact, I see them getting further once Boston wins another one.
Oh, yeah. Leo, go ahead.
You know what, guys? I'm waiting for the Lakers to come up and say, hey, guys, we're still tied. We won the in-season tournament.
Yeah, right.
What a waste that was. So, you know what, fellas? You got to be good, but you got to be lucky. If you look at what's happened to Boston over the past 4 or 5 years, they probably had the best team, but they would go up against a juggernaut that all of a sudden got hot. Hey, the Miami Heat, a perfect example. JB just threw the Heat on his back and went crazy. And this year was the Celtics year because look what was transpiring, right? Milwaukee, the Greek Freak got hurt. Look what happened in Indiana. Gallus gets hurt. So I'm not making excuses. I'm not trying to diminish what they did because you know what? When you get there, you put your foot on their throat and you bury them. Florida Panthers, you need to look at that real quick.
Get real. That in-season tournament was an absolute joke. What do you call that championship? A participation championship? Give me a break. You know what? Let me ask you guys a question. Do you know why you even had that stupid in-season tournament? Because everybody's actually being turned off by the NBA. You got to find some stupid, idiotic gimmick to make it interesting. Really? I mean, give me a break. I don't even.
You know what, Scott? Here's the worst part. When I saw the parquet floor up at TD Gardens in Boston, all of a sudden painted like it was some, painter. It was high on LSD, and all I can remember is I got a text from someone who is very high up in college football. He goes, "Just another reason not to watch the NBA." And you know what? It's true.
Yeah, I don't watch the NBA anymore. I haven't followed it, like I said, faithfully since Jordan. So I mean,
you
know
what?
It's been a long time.
The Bad Boys, and that was a great time to watch it.
Yes, it was. Yes,
it was.
Defense, but guys, you know what the NBA stands for? No basketball anytime. And
yeah, but I got one that's. Hey, Leo, I got one comparable to yours. You ready, buddy?
Lay it on me.
NDL, National Drama League.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's
both
a good
of them are good. Come on, Ralph. You got two senior citizens on here that feel like we're getting the fountain of youth every time we come on the external show. So
you know what, though? That's great, the fountain of youth. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. let's get started here with some baseball talk. On Willie Mays passed away. Any one of you two guys, your thoughts on Willie Mays? We'll start with Leo.
You know what, guys? Now, Scott, you and I are pretty much seeing baseball from the 1950s on.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that Willie Mays is in the group of 5 of the greatest position players I ever saw. And again, I didn't see Ted Williams in his prime, but God, he could hit up until the last day of his career.
Yeah.
Hank Aaron, right? The sad thing is that Barry Bonds isn't even in that 5. You got Hank Aaron, you got Willie Mays, you got Ted Williams, you got Mickey Mantle, and you
Right.
got the best I ever saw, fellas. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in Pittsburgh. Roberto Clemente was the best 5-tool player I've ever seen.
Yes.
I saw him throw out Clay Dalrymple at home plate. Yeah, I know it's a catcher, but his back was to the 355 sign at Connie Mack Stadium, and Dalrymple tried to tag up from third, and guess what? Clemente threw him out. And I'll never forget this one. Clemente's at the bat, and he swings at a curveball that probably hits 1.5 feet in front of the plate. The next pitch, he hits the Liberty Bell. You know, he could look so bad and still be so good. Thank God he got the 3,000 hits. Could you imagine he was at 29.99 when the plane crashed? That would have been terrible. But, you know, Roberto Clemente, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams. That's my Mount Rushmore plus a peak.
All right. Well, you're dating it back to the 50s because we don't have to go any earlier than that. So you know what? I actually enjoyed when I was at Cooperstown seeing the Roberto Clemente, exhibits that you have. Plus, they had a lot more things other than just a plaque there. But you know what? It's pretty hard to go against Joe DiMaggio, though, right? He played in the 50s, that 56-game winning streak. Maybe a little biased toward this one, but I got to put Al Kaline in there.
Oh, God, I was just going to say Al Kaline. You know, the guy comes up at what? 18 years old. Yeah. And never played a day in the minors, correct, Scott?
Well, correct. Yeah. And not only that, Leo and Ralph, the guy was a sensational right fielder. He could gun people out. So I'm going to go with Joe DiMaggio because I think he played into the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's part of the voice issues I'm having. So bear with me. So we have Joe DiMaggio. Pretty hard to argue against. It's pretty hard to argue against Clemente. I love Roberto Clemente. I mean, whether you're a Pirates guy or not, that has nothing to do with it. Hank Aaron, without a doubt. I would never put Barry Bonds in anything because, he, to me, cheated the game. Another guy I would probably even consider putting in that group would be Cal Ripken Jr. I mean, the guy was unquestionably the all-time Ironman. Anybody that go to work every day for that many games, give me a break. He deserves to be considered. So I don't know how many do I even have right now. But how many do I have, Ralph?
Well, I'm sorry. What was that, Scott? I was scratching something off my notes.
I think that was 4.
Okay,
4. Yeah.
Recap. I'm going to put Clemente in there because justifiably so. He should. I'll go Al Kaline. I'm going to go with Joe DiMaggio. And who else did I mention? God, I'm losing it. But Cal Ripken Jr.
Cal Ripken, yes.
Right.
Yeah, he's a good player.
The other two I would put in there. Well, I mean, geez, if we wanted to turn it up to the modern era, I'd have to put Derek Jeter in there. I mean, how do you
guys, there's 2 people. I don't think they don't get passed over, but when you talk about the Mount Rushmore of baseball position players,
right?
Frank Robinson and Rocky Colavito.
Frank Robinson, yes.
When you bring those 2 up, Colavito was traded for Harvey Keene between the Tigers and the Indians, right? So,
yeah.
When was the last time you saw a batting champion be traded for a home run champion? Go figure.
Yes. And you know what, guys? I was going to use this as my bum today, but how about the shortstop out with the Padres? I can't pronounce his first name, but Mercado.
Yeah.
They said he had like 400 bets on baseball.
Really?
Yeah, Mercado. Yeah, we talked about that a week or two ago. Yeah.
Here's my bum. How about baseball coming out and saying, well, he was only correct on 4% of his bets? Do you honest to God believe that somebody would bet 20 times and win once? Come on, baseball. Just
Yeah.
come out and say, hey, he won some bets. Don't come out and
Right.
say, well, he only won 4%. Come on. Nobody believes that.
No,
You know,
not at all, Leo. Because no matter what it is, he bet, and
Well,
he
let me
bet
ask you a
on
question.
baseball.
Why would we
Yeah.
take it to another level? Why would they even
Yes.
bother to advertise it in the first place?
Right.
Sending people right and left. I don't get that one.
No,
Help
not
me.
at all.
Well,
I
let me
don't
ask you
either.
a question. Wait, Leo and Ralph, I need you to give me an honest. Did I take a dumb pill overnight when I make this comment? Really? Why would you be dumb enough to advertise that? Why? Bury it.
Yes,
I
exactly.
thought for a second baseball picked up the WNBA marketing team.
Well, they
There you
need
go.
It
Caitlin
was
Clark
Dumb
if
and
they're going
Dumber.
to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. This last couple segments here was brought to you by Sleep Pittsburgh, 412-462-7858, 8th Avenue, Homestead, sleeppittsburgh.com. They have the best selection of mattresses, day beds, and more. Check out their website. Check out their storeroom in Homestead right on 8th Avenue. And also, don't forget about no credit check financing. Sleep Pittsburgh for the best sleep tonight. And then also, this last segment was brought to you by the original Hometown Pizza, 412-264-4444, University Boulevard, Moon Township. Don't forget about their pickup, eat-in, and delivery if you live in the Moon area. And also don't forget about mentioning my name. You get a discount on your order. The original Hometown Pizza. And we're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500. That's 724-201-0500. All right, guys, before we get in extensively into our NFL talk, let's talk about the UFL Championship. All three of us were wrong. We all took San Antonio last week. Birmingham shut them out. San Antonio's offense couldn't move the football worth a darn. And, mistakes, things like that. You don't make mistakes against a team like Birmingham. We'll start with you, Scott.
Well, I only picked San Antonio because it was a sentimental pick. I wanted Wade Phillips to win it. Did I think that they were going to win it? No, I didn't think they were going to win it. Birmingham's a stud. They were going after their three-peat, and they indeed did get it under Skip Holt. So no, I was pulling for San Antonio. It was a sentimental pick. Come on, let's think about the Holtzes have. When you take a look at the Holtzes, okay, between Lou Holtz and Skip, they have 3 championships. Now they have 4. Wade, the Phillips family, between Wade and Bum, they don't have any. But it was more of a sentimental pick. But here's the one thing we all have to understand, and many of us do, okay? Just because you beat somebody in the regular season doesn't mean you're going to beat them in the postseason. I understand that San Antonio handed Birmingham their only loss during the regular season. But what did that matter? UFL championship game, it meant absolutely nothing. I find it hard to believe myself, okay, that either of the San Antonio quarterbacks are going to go out there and get a look in the NFL. They may be headed back to San Antonio for another year to work on their game. And, I don't know. Have you heard where the Birmingham quarterback Leo is going? Has he been offered a contract? Well,
no, he was originally in the NFL. He was Matt Corral. He was. I can't remember what team he was.
I'm talking about who's the other one? Martinez.
Yeah, not yet.
He was with the Detroit Lions last year, and I don't know how many people are really enamored with his play, Ralph. And
right.
Just because you're the MVP of that league, the thing I get from the interaction between Skip Holt and Adrian Martinez was Holt kept telling him he had to coach him up a lot harder than most coaches have to. So if you look by the sound and all that,
yes,
to me, I didn't get a good impression of Adrian Martinez. Matt Corral needs more seasoning too. They both do. So,
yeah, I was surprised that he played Martinez. I thought Matt Corral was going to be the starter the whole year, and then all of a sudden he pulled him out. I guess because he was struggling and decide to put Martinez in the game. And, so it was an interesting game, even though they lost 25-0.
Well, here's the thing, Ralph. You have to understand with Martinez. He had gotten you to this point anyways, right?
Right.
So you have to put him back in. But you also know that the way these things work out is that if you have a short leash, you bring the other guy in. But you didn't need a short leash against this San Antonio team because they couldn't. Obviously, their scoring didn't make it to the gateway. Okay,
Right.
so I mean, our picks were sentimental. I can't believe that. I knew that.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. There was a nice crowd in St. Louis, 33,000 people. So,
really?
St. Louis really likes their football as well as baseball, and I hope they get an NFL franchise real soon here.
Yeah, but if the Battlehawks had been in it, how much do you want to bet there would have been 50,000 people in that building?
Oh, absolutely. They would have sold that whole building out, Scott. Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Leo, your thoughts on this UFL game?
Well, when you look at what happened, and Scott, I got to give you credit for hitting the nail on the head.
Okay.
San Antonio beat Birmingham. It's their only loss of the season.
Right.
And it happened 2 weeks before the playoffs. So it was still fresh in their mind. And Skip Holtz, all he had to do was put on the board, hey, this is the only team to beat us. He had their undivided attention with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was pulling for San Antonio for a couple reasons. Wade Phillips, he's a very good friend of mine, Karen Lorenz, lives in San Antonio. I've spent time down there, very beautiful city. And you know what? I kind of like the way the Spurs do things with, they pretty much, they don't buy players, they draft them.
Right.
There's a novel idea, right, guys? Draft.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just hope they can survive another year because, I don't care what it is. People want to watch football 13 months out of the year. That's just the American way.
Absolutely. Well, the United Football League will easily survive. How can you not survive when you got Fox that owns it, and then you got ABC and ESPN? They're going to survive. And we already see the impact the league is already having to begin with. They're doing what everybody expected them to do. Fill in broadcast time during the spring and produce NFL players. If you don't believe me, ask Jake Bates, who landed with the Detroit Lions via the Michigan Panthers.
Yes.
Sure, if they're kicking. So the UFL, they merged them, obviously, USFL and XFL, is doing exactly what everybody expected. Plus, they're showing you new wrinkles about the field goals and the kickoffs and all that. And the NFL can use this stuff in real time rather than having to experiment with this stuff during the preseason. So, the United Football League is sound. It's definitely going to draw decent numbers during the spring. I don't know what kind of gate you're going to get, as far as attendance, but you know what? It's not like they're owned by individuals. They're owned by networks that want to fill time during the spring. This league is safe, and it will produce NFL prospects.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't lose the $60 million that the XFL lost when, last year that they had to do this merger. But this merger actually works out for both leagues, Scott, because, now both leagues are together. They only had 8 teams this year. They took out some teams that were deadwood or didn't have stadiums or whatever, and now it's starting to work. And I hear next year they're going to add one team to each league. So we'll see how this works out.
I heard contrary that they were really not ready they weren't worried about adding to next year, just building the strength of the product. But if they do, they do. But yeah, let's face it, the XFL lost, and you wonder about the USFL. But it all comes down to who owns these respective leagues, Ralph and Leo. If you got networks like Fox and ABC, they don't care. $60 million a drop in the bucket. But it will eventually go ahead and add teams in former NFL markets. I don't know what they're planning to do, but if they decide to add teams, San Diego and Oakland could be 2 possibilities. And, of course, I'm not sure on the East Coast, but those are things as well. And, hey, Leo, I want to go back to what you were talking about San Antonio, though. The one thing that helps San Antonio out a lot, because you make a really dynamite point, pal, is this. Yes, the Spurs do things by drafting, but let's not forget, Leo and Ralph, that the Spurs have won championships. Okay, how many teams have only won one, and how many haven't won any?
Yes,
So right
exactly.
now, the San Antonio Spurs have won championships. You know, they're one of the top franchises in terms of how many they've won, so they're okay. I mean, they're
Yeah.
stable, and I think UFL. You know what? The best part about positioning a team over in San Antonio is now you have every major city that has pro football in that state. You've got what, Dallas and Houston, right? And now you have San Antonio during the
In
spring.
Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Houston now has the Texans and the Roughnecks. So I mean, yeah.
well, that's true, and of course Dallas has what, the Renegades, I believe, and the
Yes.
Cowboys,
The
and then
Arlington
Yeah,
Renegades.
and guys, don't forget about that professional team up in Austin. They just won't admit they're professional, but they're getting paid.
yeah, no, that's true.
There
Yeah,
you go.
no, so you got a lot of coverage in Texas. I could see them spreading around. But I thought Daryl Johnson said they weren't in any hurry to expand yet. But then again, it'll be a collective effort if they add to. It'll be interesting to see which ones they add. I predict San Diego will probably be the first one that does add, or it's either San Diego or Oakland. And I don't know who they would go with on the East. I don't know.
I think
Yeah,
you're
we'll
going to
see.
see.
We'll
Yeah,
see what Oakland
you got to
does.
see St. Louis, guys. You're right. St. Louis and San Diego are perfect fits. Oakland just has a stadium issue right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
they
do.
do. Yes.
What's happening there.
Yeah.
But there's one other, guys, that no one's ever talked about. Portland. Portland would be an
They're
interesting
talking about
situation.
Canton Akron. They're talking about where the Hall of Fame is. They're talking about a team for the
Well, you
UFL.
know what, Ralph? That would make a tremendous amount of sense. And I'll tell you why that one would. Why not have a team in Canton and Akron, the home of the Hall of Fame? I mean, they played them well. They played it up well last year. So, you're pretty much including this Cleveland market, which I can't imagine is too far from there. So
Right.
if I were going to make two predictions based on what you just said, I would go San Diego and Canton and Akron would be the two that I would actually predict, unless you guys beg to differ.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. This segment was brought to you in part by Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. Tomorrow, Sunday, 3 p.m., Indiana, Pennsylvania, at the S&T Bank Arena is the Evolution the Evolution event going on. I will be there tomorrow along with Smoking Jim Frazier, and we will be there. So stop by, say hello. The big attraction of the day, EC3, the champion in the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. He will be there in a match. And also, if you get there at 2:00, there will be a meet and greet with EC3, and you can get pictures and also autograph pictures, and he'll also take pictures with you as well. So Allied Powers Wrestling Federation, my friend Bubba Brewer is the promoter, and he's the event's tomorrow, 3:00 p.m., Indiana, Pennsylvania, at the S&T Bank Arena. All right, guys. Next, let's get in. Well, we already talked about the Stanley Cup. Let's get into the NFL a little bit here. Barry Sanders suffered a health issue this week during the Father's Day weekend. Your thoughts on Barry Sanders? Start off with you, Leo.
I'll tell you what. I went to a clinic because I had to coach offensive line one year, and Bob Wiley, who was the line coach of the Bucks, put together an offensive line clinic. And when I'm watching this film that the Detroit Lions offensive line coach brings in, I'm watching about 7 or 8 plays in. I go, Coach, I got a question. I said, there's one guy you're not blocking every play. And it's not the same guy. It's a different guy. He said, oh, that's Barry's guy. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if we run the ball 10 times, yeah, Barry's going to get tackled by this guy probably, 3 or 4 times in the backfield.
Right.
The other 6 or 7 times, he's going to beat him. And then it's off to the races. Barry Sanders, he's not the best I ever saw, because a healthy Gale Sayers was the best I've ever seen. and Jim Brown, right up there. But I'll tell you what, Barry Sanders could run the football. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Scott, your thoughts, Barry Sanders.
Well, I have to tell you, he is the best I've ever saw. But you know why I say that, though? I covered him for the Lions
Right.
time. I saw this guy break more ankles than politicians tell lies. I'm telling you, this guy broke ankles. I
Hey,
see him run.
Scott, was he as nice a guy off the field as he seemed like he was?
Absolutely. You bet. I used to have some great conversations with Barry. We had a lot of fun. I bumped into him at the lobby at our hotels. Actually, one of the hobbies places that was a Sheraton over in Tampa when they had Shula's Steakhouse there. I would stay there when I was in town covering the Lions and the Bucks. I ran into Barry a lot, and then one day my ex-wife and I saw him, and I said, "Have a good game." All he did was break two 80-yard touchdowns that day, and you're not allowed to cheer in the press box, but the guy who was the Buccaneers PR guy. I'm sure you probably know him too, Leo. Chip Namias.
Yep.
Yeah, Chip's one of my closest friends, like one of the closest people in my life. He didn't care. Oh, whatever. It's only Barry. I mean, Chip was most late back. Well, how do you not beat us all up for booing when the guy breaks 280 yards? So you know what? I saw him. He'll lose some yards in the back, but all of a sudden, okay, then he breaks one for 9 zillion yards. So yeah, I'm going to be partial. Seeing the best I've ever seen. I'm not downplaying Gale Sayers. I didn't see him as much because he was in the Chicago market, and I'm working in the Metro Detroit market. And Jim Brown was maybe a little bit before my time. I would even say Barry Sanders is better than Emmitt Smith and would have had that record if he didn't retire prematurely. Emmitt Smith was a heck of a running back, got some championships out of it, but I'm going to go Barry all the way. Not even close in my mind.
All right.
I hope he gets better. And obviously, if there's a heart issue, it's a wake-up call for everybody.
Yeah, I hope he gets better too. He was a good running back. It was just sad that he never made it to a Super Bowl or anything like that for as good as he was.
Well, he got close to one, but then the team regressed. And I think the major reason they regressed was they let Jerry Venisi go.
Oh, yeah. All right. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500. And this next portion of our NFL segment is brought to you in part by Fold and Travel Mobility. Look, I'm handicapped. I'm in a wheelchair, and I don't deny it. But let me tell you something. If you want to have a better life and be able to do more things, and you're in a wheelchair, my suggestion to you is get a hold of Fold and Travel Mobility, 1-877-GOT-FOLD. 1-877-GOTFOLD, GOT-FOLD, and also foldandtravelmobility.com. Talk to the experts about getting something of a folding power wheelchair to make your life better if you're as handicapped in a wheelchair as I am. I have one. I can fold it up and put it in my vehicle, and I don't have to worry about buying a trailer. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I can load it right in my vehicle, and I'm on my way, and I can go wherever I want to go now, because I have a folding power wheelchair that helps me get around the county fairs, the amphitheater where we have concerts at, things like that. So get one today, 1-877-GOT-FOLD, GOTFOLD, Fold and Travel Mobility. And all right, let's get into this ticket gouging stuff here. We already talked about what the Florida Panthers have done. I mentioned earlier about this lawsuit. Some fans have starting a lawsuit against the NFL for ticket gouging and then violation of an antitrust law as well. They are in violation of it, the NFL. We'll start with you, Leo.
You know what, guys? I think the biggest problem right now is the NFL needs to put a limit on how many tickets they sell to one person, because these ticket brokers are going in and buying 50 or 100 tickets,
Right.
And then it's ticket gouging, but the NFL has no control over it.
No.
And again, there was a big to-do down here with the Lightning. How, when these Lightning people, and I don't blame them, when the Red Wings would come in, when the Canadian teams would come in, they would sell their ticket for like 6, 7, 8 times the price, and it would cover 10 games. They would sell, instead of having 41 home games, they would go to 30, sell 11, and they'd make money. So
Right.
yeah, it's the secondary ticket market. And again, there's your problem. They're not doing anything illegal, but after the government went after Ticketmaster.
Yes, I was just going to bring that up, Leo. Yes.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, Ticketmaster is involved in a federal lawsuit. The FCC or whatever they're called that goes, or the Federal Trade Commission has gone after Ticketmaster for this Taylor Swift debacle, and now everybody's got to restructure how they sell tickets now. And this other lawsuit here against the NFL is really going to put a dent in some wallets here with this ticket selling. But you know what? It's going to continue anyway. It's going to get out of control again because the NFL make it get out of control because it's an afterthought sometimes, and a lot of times people don't realize how much you spend to go to a baseball or a football game or any kind of a sporting event. Scott.
Yeah, somebody asked me about that ticket gouging, and a lot of it was related to the Panthers. Here's my feeling, okay? If I wasn't covering pro sports, I wouldn't go. I'd watch them on TV. Who the heck would want to spend that money to cover an event? Seriously, the amount of money you spend to an event, and I'm a travel guy, okay? I'll just go ahead and travel, and that's all I need to do. In fact, I'll even go a step further. In August, right around the first or second week of August, I'm getting a new van, and I'm going to take the back of the first two seats out, and I'm going to be traveling around wherever I need to do, and taking my act on the road a little bit more. So you're right. You can't stop it. Well, who's to say money's money? If it clears, it's good money. It's good money. They're going to sell it. I mean, nobody has any control over this thing. It's not like you're deregulating it or anything like that. But cash money is cash money. But I've always said if the price is wrong, then stay home. It's not worth going out there and losing. It's not worth to me not being able to pay a month's rent or 2 months' rent or car payments over a stupid game. It really is. And I wouldn't do it. Again, well,
you know what, Scott? You're one of the few, because I'm going to tell you what, if anybody, excuse me for a minute. Okay. If anybody would want to actually, wouldn't spend money, these teams would go broke. But you know what? No one does it because everybody loves sports and they'll spend money to go. And that's where it all bottoms down to. There needs to be a revolt if you don't want to go to a game. I don't go either. I sit and watch it on TV. Again, like you, Scott, unless I get media credentials, that's the only time I go to a game.
It be a revolt. It's just about being stupid. What kind of a revolt are you even talking about? Either you go or you don't go.
You don't go. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if there was ever to be one, they would hurt real bad. If the whole country just said, I'm not going to another game.
Well, here's the problem, guys. And as soon as the Panthers lost Game 6, the Panthers management went cha-ching, cha-ching, because they figured that the Panthers fans won't buy those tickets. The Oilers fans will, because they want to say, I was there when they won the Stanley Cup after losing the first three.
Yes.
I think that's what's coming out. But, guys, you're exactly right. When you look at this, it doesn't cost me $9 for a beer when I just go to my refrigerator.
No Raider, exactly. Yeah, yes. For $10 for a hot dog.
Yeah.
So.
And again, the way the game is being played, especially football, you see more on TV than you do in the stadium. And guys, I want you to comment on this one. I don't think people realize what the media goes through when you're sitting there watching an 11-second delay on ESPN. I keep telling people, we'll be at a football game, and if it's an ESPN game, the play will be run. They're huddling up, and they still haven't run the play on TV. Because it's an 11-second delay.
Yeah.
6 or 7 seconds on regular TV, but it's 11 seconds on ESPN. It's like, that's why they didn't want Chip Kelly, because they'd probably run 2 plays, and they couldn't cover it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's go, Ralph, let's go back to the Panthers situation. If Edmonton fans are willing to spend that amount of money on a plane ticket to get to Florida, we're talking about 2,500 miles. Hey, you know what? I've been critical of the Panthers a lot. I admit that. I'm not afraid to do it because there have been many reasons, which I don't care to get into here on this particular show because it's not relevant to what we're talking about. Then more power to them if you're going to stick it to the Oilers fans. If you're going to make that trip, with the rental car and all the hotels you're going to spend. And, you know, again, now Florida's under more pressure it's ever been, knowing that they could be the second team since the Red Wings to squander a lead and let alone lose that. So,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
yeah, and let alone how many local people are going to spend that kind of money. You know what? I don't know. I mean, you got a lot of nervous Panthers fans, so I'm not going to hold the Panthers responsible for overcharging the Oilers fans if they're willing to go through all that travel expense to get here. I hold the Panthers fans responsible for what you're doing to your local fan base. That's where I have issues with that.
Yeah. You know what, guys? I got to give you this great story because was it a Rays game last year with the Yankees? And the whole row of fans were Yankee fans. It was like, you know, Yankee Stadium South. And I said, where are you from? And they said, you know, one of the 5 boroughs. I said, why do you come down here? They go, it's cheaper for us. This is amazing. To come down here, pay the plane flight, pay the hotel, pay for food, and go to 3 games than it would be to go to 3 games in Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Well, that's a different animal, anyways. Let's face the reality. You know, I don't think what they do in New York is just price gouge. I just think the fact that everything's just way more expensive up there, and they're used to paying it anyways.
Yes,
I don't know.
Absolutely. Okay, guys.
It's all about what do they call it with capitalism? If the market will sustain it, you do it.
You do it, yeah.
And right now it does. And again, the quickest way to get that market to go up, if you win, they will come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I like that, Leo.
All right, guys. Let's get to our last topic of NFL, and this topic is brought to you by the DraftNation.com, the new DraftNation.com, formerly known as Draft412.com. $9.99 a month. You can get a newsletter, magazine kind of thing inside your inbox, and they give you all of the draft details you need on football, NBA, Major League Baseball, anything connected with a draft. Draft Nation is on top of it. All right, so go to draftnation.com and check out their website. And also, they have podcasts as well. Dave Finoli, the Joe Kuglis, JT Toth, they all do different types of podcasts and and radio shows and things like that. So check them out. Draftnation.com, $9.99 a month for a newsletter in your inbox. Draftnation.com. All right, quarterback salaries. Owners are looking at a quarterback salary cap. Start with you, Scott.
Need it, period. These are ridiculous, these salaries that these guys are getting, you know, and I hope they find a way to do it as soon as possible. I mean, you know, the other guys are going to get their money, okay, you know, the ones that are left, but then after that, boom, you need to institute. This position's out of control. When you have a quarterback eating 25, 30, 40% of your payroll, then what are you going to do with the rest of the roster? Well, that counts the other 60, 70 players. I don't care about the 53-man roster. What about the practice squads as well? And then what players get hurt, you have to sign them. So, yeah, there's something that has to be done. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Oh, yeah. Scott, there's a ripple down effect here. One quarterback gets a lot of money. You got guys out here, quarterbacks that are sort of, mediocre. They're getting all this big money, never been to a Super Bowl. And now Trevor Lawrence gets this big salary. There has to be something. The quarterback is one of the most important, pieces to your puzzle of your football team. And, so Leo, your thoughts on this quarterback salary cap?
You know, Ralph, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. He's not maybe the most. He is the most important.
He is the most. Yes, exactly.
Especially what we're doing. The problem is they got the same problem the NCAA does. The genie's out of the bottle, and it's not going back in.
Right.
Because, you know, the 2 words, the 2 phrases that scares the NFL right now is collusion and restraint of trade. And that's what you're looking at. Because if they upset too many legislators, what's going to happen to that little bit of monopoly that they have where, you know, they kind of look the other way on this? Guys, somebody just has to hold the boat. The problem is You got 32 owners. One of them is going to jump ship and pay money. And again, I don't knock these guys getting their money. The problem is somebody's going to overpay them. And Trevor Lawrence got the money because, okay, if I'm Jacksonville, I'm looking down the road. Who's there coming out? I mean, I want to keep Trevor Lawrence. And I'm going to give my son, Sean, the best credit on this. He said, you know, Dad, I wouldn't draft a quarterback. I'd buy a quarterback. I'd sit there and find out how good he is, and then I'm going to and that's what's happening. That's why you see all these salaries of guys going to other teams because, okay, I didn't bother drafting him, but I'm going to buy them, and it's going to cost me money. But in the long run, I've saved money. Look at Patrick Mahomes' contract. Everybody talks about, oh, my God, he's making hundreds of millions of dollars. Boy, that contract looks cheap right now, doesn't it? Because
Yes, it does.
You know, he's like 7-8 more years of this.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing, though, Leo. The word collusion is definitely one everybody would be scared about in any sport, no doubt about it. I don't have a problem with Trevor Lawrence getting his money. Where I have an issue more so with Deshaun Watson getting the money he ended up getting. Because here's the thing about Trevor Lawrence, and I've been around the Jacksonville situation. Took last year out, most likely this year. I got to obviously back off a little bit. My doctors have told me that. But, you know, they keep things under control. Deshaun Watson, you don't want the Deshaun Watson contracts and all that. Those are the ones that are problematic that eat you up alive, you know. So, you know, quarterbacks that deserve to get paid are one thing. Trevor Lawrence is a foundation piece there. He really is in Jacksonville. If you know anything about the Jacksonville market, you know what I'm talking about. But there are a lot of guys that don't deserve to get paid. Dak Prescott's going to walk next year if he doesn't get the money he's going to get. I have a feeling that Dallas will have a new quarterback next year unless Dak keeps his numbers reasonable enough to not devour the whole cap. So, yeah, I understand Congress getting involved. Yeah, they always get involved in this stuff because they'll use antitrust. Nobody cares. Collusion's a word that I think is one. But you don't want to overpay quarterbacks to a point where the market's so out of control that you can't build the rest of your team. The NFL, more than any other league, is about team building. And 50 to 60% of your roster is going to get turned over every year, whether you like it or not. I've never seen a league flip big names as much as the NFL does compared to other leagues. Well, you wonder why. Right there.
You know what, guys? Let me throw this out. I know we're getting late, but do you think we'll ever see an NFL franchise outside the United States? I don't think you will, because you just have so much of a problem with travel and with different currencies. You know, guys, you know, if you're playing in England, you're going to pay a boatload of tax. Same thing if you're playing in Canada.
Yeah, but you know what, Leo? To answer your question, I could see one maybe down the road. Well, I mean, London's been bannered about for a long time. They'll see how they can get the logistics. I wouldn't say that Montreal couldn't get one if they built a stadium there, because, you know, Toronto will never happen because of Buffalo. But I could see Montreal getting one. Vancouver's hard because you obviously have the Vancouver-Seattle situation, and they won't go to Edmonton. There's no way. The market's too small. So I think Montreal's the most logical fit, and Mexico City, and that's probably about it. And maybe England if they get the logistics worked out.
Well, don't they have one team over there now? Jacksonville
Yeah.
2 games?
Yeah, I believe they do. Yes.
Well,
but
that's true.
yes.
That's true. But you know what? If you're talking 8-9, London would be a great place because they're way ahead of everybody else in terms of, you know, their NFL following because of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, guys, we're getting ready to close up shop here. Closing, as they say in court, closing arguments. So your closing statement there, Scott.
Well, again, you know what? I'm going to go back to the Panthers and the Oilers. I did predict the Panthers to beat the Oilers in 7. You know, as a journalist, I have to stay with the pick, okay, because I like to be consistent whether I'm right or wrong. I don't mind saying I was wrong. But I'll tell you, the Florida Panthers right now, I tell you what, the Edmonton Oilers are in their head, and they're in their head badly. And Sergei Bobrovsky in the past, during certain aspects of the playoffs, has come up short. But I'll tell you, you know what? And one other note I should point out, that when it comes to games 4 or 7, I believe that Stuart Skinner is, I believe, like 10-0 in those games. So, you know what, the Houston Oilers are on house money. That's what my thoughts are. And also, in terms of getting a hold of me, you can go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. My book is Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. That you can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble and a lot of other places. Thanks for showing it up there, Ralph. Appreciate it.
No problem.
So feel free to get a copy. It's something that everybody can read. So, we're going to do a part 2 later in the year. And that's why when I start to cherry pick the sports, Leo, I want to go to, it's a lot easier to fill in the blanks for what wasn't in that first book. Second edition will have it. So I'll enjoy being on the show with you two vets. You guys are the best, man.
Well, I appreciate you as well, Scott. Thank you. And thank you for having me on Fire Up too as well.
Our pleasure.
All right. Leo, your closing arguments.
You know what, Ralph? I got to give credit to my sweetie, Karen Lorenz, who came up with this term, miserably happy. You know what miserably happy is? That's Rory McIlroy. He's miserable because he didn't win the U.S. Open. He's happy when he cashes the second place check for $2.322 million. That would make me pretty happy. Yeah,
yes,
he didn't win, but you know what? Runner-up ain't bad in that. So, hey, Karen, I appreciate you coming up with that line, and more power. Keep them flowing there, Muffin.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to my other half, Candy Ebling, Morganroth. And without her, the South Florida Tribune wouldn't be what it is, www.southfloridatribune.com. She herself built that website from scratch, and she's done unbelievable things with the broadcast division, including the YouTube channel. And by the way, on Twitter, you get me at Tribune South as well. So, Candy, we know you're the backbone to what we do, and she does a pretty good job on Fire Up with Ralph and Jeremy when I can get on, when I have a voice. So.
All right. I know we're getting ready to leave here. Mike Price says hello, guys. But we're getting ready to leave here. I can be reached. I have a YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media. Check out all my shows on their archive versions. Monday night is The Way We See It. Tuesday night is Sports Corner. Wednesday afternoon is Ralph's Opinion. And I'm also on at 9:00 every Wednesday night with Jeremy Ballridge. And we have a football roundtable that we do. And then at 10:30 p.m., I'm on with Peter Blake down in Tampa. We do a show called Turnbuckle Talk. We talk about professional wrestling. And then here Saturday morning, 9 a.m., the External Bum Show. We're here all the time. And so there is a schedule I can follow. There you are, Michael. Anyway, also, don't forget on Sundays now at 7 p.m., I do a Bible capsule where we talk about scripture in the Bible. And that's every Sunday night, 7:00. And coming soon in July, as soon as I get back from my trip to Erie, we're going to have Sports Corner TV. Ralph's Opinion goes on TV as well. And we're going to have a Wrestle Talk show as well, all going on TV. And I'm working on internet radio as well. So a lot going on with RW Media Productions. And don't forget to tune in Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter X platforms as well. And also you can catch me on Tumblr as well. I'm Ralph Williams for Scott Morganroth and Leo Haggerty. Until next Saturday, everybody have yourselves a great one. Thank you for watching.
Yep, thank you.